Okay, that's perfect. So that's taken care of. And we have some other things to talk about. And before we get to today's volunteer person who's going to be joining us, guys, we are going to have a class in the principles of the potatoes and rice and pasta, all about that. We're going to have a class in that. I don't have the starting date yet or the links for it, but I will have that for you soon. I want to make sure that's all set up and ready to roll when we're ready to do that. So thank you, everybody. Let's go ahead and just record this. And I just want to talk about Cheryl joined us last week, and it was a joy, Cheryl, to work with you. And also just want to talk about Tony. So we got a message from Jennifer that was amazing, that Tony's white blood cell count has gone from 11 to 6 in just a few weeks. And, you know, she said, you know, fair enough, that she didn't know if she could completely, let me see if I can do a screenshot of this. If she could completely correlate it with everything that we were doing, affirmations, prayer, the food plan, but she was really happy to see that his white blood cell count had gone down. And that's really what you want. You want a lower white blood cell count because it means you're not fighting inflammation or, you know, fighting off an infection. So you want it to be on the lower side. So when he adopted the diet, when he started to do the things that we recommended, then that really started to happen. All right, so let's talk about Cheryl. Cheryl came in last week. Let me just see if you guys are saying there's no sound. Okay, you guys, thank you. It was really such a wonderful group of people who are now coming to Practitioner Hour. I really want to personally thank you. You're really amazing. You make it all worthwhile. And so I do hope that I'm able to teach you something that's going to make you better in the practice that you're doing and sharing my knowledge of what I've been doing over the past number of years. So thank you very much. And so let's go ahead and look at this. And then I'm trying desperately to get some other things up here. But like I said, the browsers just aren't cooperating with me, but I am going to figure this out. So hang on just one more second. Bear with me here. Let me just see if I can do this. Put this over here, put this over here. Okay, good, that worked out. Put this over here. Okay, we're trying to get some documents for you as well. Thank you, everybody who's joining. It's a thrill to have you join us, and I really appreciate it. All right, so let's go ahead, and one thing I need is a different browser for this. All right, so I want to talk about Cheryl's plan. Cheryl came and she joined us, and she talked about her chronic asthma. And thank you so much, Cheryl. Like I said, I just wanted to share with you what we did for Cheryl. Okay, so for everybody who's a volunteer, I do take a moment every day to send some prayers out, and I sort of affirm their healing, and I just say, in the name of Jesus, in the name of God, in the name of the divine, I pray that this person will find all of the healing that they wish for and be restored completely to their optimal natural health and vitality, something along those lines. And I really want to encourage you. I'm trying to do some research. There is some research that actually shows that when a healer prays actively for their client, that it does make a profound difference in the outcome. So we've been doing that. And also these are the genius frequencies that I put into the Quantum capsule: lung anatomy, lung boost and upgrade, asthma assessment and solutions, respiratory herbal solutions, flower essence on meridian point, emotional anatomy, releasing trapped emotions, focus on the meridians. I told her to focus on these meridians: spleen, kidney, and lung meridian, because they, in Chinese medicine, they are related to the manifestation of asthma. Then we did some personal affirmations. My lungs are returning to their home frequency and working well to nourish my body with qi and energy. I send forgiveness to and love even to the people who hurt me. Well, a lot of what Cheryl described to us were some things that happened in her childhood, and some very traumatic things that we talked about with her dad and mom. And so I send forgiveness and love even to the people who hurt me, knowing that in some way they were doing their best given their own circumstances. We did cover this a lot in the cellular freedom technique. I guess I'll take some time in future classes to talk a little bit more about that. One of the things we really focused on in cellular freedom technique is the power of forgiveness. I can't tell you how healing that power is. We're carrying around a really great weight inside of us for the different people who we perceive have trespassed upon us. And when we hold on to that, it's a great weight, inside of us that is affecting, all of our life and everything that we're doing, that we could really lighten our experience here on planet Earth. So every cell in my body is happy, joyous, and well. Don't forget that every word that you are saying, all the tones, everything, your body is listening all the time. And it's the simplest thing in the world to just keep affirming your wellness every single day. And yet we often forget to do it, and we let all the negativities flood in. For some reason, that is the human condition, is that if we're not vigilant and conscious about our thoughts, then the default mechanism is this entropy, where all these negative thoughts and doubts start to creep in. So it's sort of a spiritual practice in a way. Okay, the potato rice pasta program. So that's what I wanted to make sure that we open up that. Let's see if I can open up my other browser here, and we're going to share that. I'm trying to update it every week. Haven't been able to update it just yet. So this is going to be the same one from last week. And then we're going to have the course on the potato rice pasta plan coming up. So let's see if we can do this here, and we'll get this over to everybody. All right. Fun, fun, fun. I don't know, Zoom doesn't make it very easy to coordinate your media and everything that you're trying to do, links and such. It's funny how sort of not very, friendly in a lot of ways that Zoom is. Okay, let's go ahead and put this into the chat. So this is the food plan that we recommend. So let me just say again, this is a food plan that I have researched, studied, and I have studied many over decades of time, every single thing you can ever imagine. And this is the one that is anthropologically and scientifically makes the most sense for human beings in order to support their greatest health. Let me come back to that in just a moment. I also recommended for Cheryl, 2-8-4 breathing. So if you've never heard of 2-8-4 breathing, it is breathing in for 2 counts, holding for 8 counts, and then breathing out for 4. We usually do this with alternating nostrils being closed. So you would close your left nostril, breathe in for 2 counts, hold for 8 counts, which the first time you do it is going to seem very, very long. And then you actually open that nostril and close the other one and breathe out for 4 counts. When you can become good at this, you're going to then switch the nostril. Let's see. No, you're actually going to just breathe in. So if you do close it for 2, hold it for 8, and then breathe out on the right side for 4, then you're going to start again by breathing in that right side, holding again for 8, and then exhaling on the left side. So you're going to do alternate nostril breathing, where you're constantly switching the nostrils that you're inhaling and exhaling. Why do you do that? It is very deeply relaxing. If you try it for yourself, you will notice a total change in your nervous system. And this is something for somebody who has asthma. This is very important to work on the nervous system. I'd love to be able to see Cheryl in the future be able to give up or release the medication at the appropriate time with medical supervision. But hopefully we can get her well enough and support those lungs that she can do it. She did make an association between her condition and dairy products, and I think that that's really important to make that association. Just by completely giving up the dairy products, you will achieve a lot. Drink 6 8-ounce glasses of water per day, preferably spring water. And I did recommend a supplement. I try to do minimal amount of supplements, sometimes more, sometimes less, just because it becomes overwhelming for people, and I want them to focus on making the changes with the food, which is stressful enough. But I do recommend something called Golden Air capsules from Dragon Herbs. It's a formulation that is focused on strengthening the lungs, but also has some adaptogens in there because she was pretty adrenally fatigued. So this is an example of a wellness program that I would present to that person. And so that's what we did for her. And we'll hear from her in a couple of weeks how she's doing. And as I said, we had some great luck with Tony because he was able to cut his white blood cells in half from 11 to 6, which is a really nice outcome. Okay, so we had updated the potatoes rice pasta plan. This is a starch-centered plan, and I can't wait to present this course to you, because when you get into it, it's going to seem like the emperor has no clothes, the wool has been rubbed over your eyes. You're going to see why this plan is just one of the most powerful and one of the most satisfying. When you start to understand that starches are your natural food, and everything else, the high protein, the healthy fats, are completely unnecessary, and they're also keeping you from releasing maybe those last 10, 20, 25, 30 pounds. And being overweight is just a big risk factor for everything that you're experiencing in your life. It's a risk factor for diabetes, it's a risk factor for cancer, it's a risk factor for many, many different conditions, including, of course, cardiovascular health. So in a nutshell, the way that we're taught through popular media is a way that will make you sick. It'll make your digestion sick. It'll make you fat. It'll make you not feel good. And it's funny that so much popular media, even when on the internet where we're supposed to have so much information, you still get people who are recommending high-fat diets, low-carb diets, and they'll make your stomach very sick. They'll cause you to be overweight because the fat you eat is the fat you wear. And when you start to learn how natural this program is, humans really are starchivores. We've never on the entire planet been able to survive calorically on anything else but starches. So whether it be wheat, which is kind of a bad word today, but it'd be whole wheat, rice, jasmine rice, brown rice, sweet potatoes, cassava, all of those things. These were in the ground. These are things that people found. These are the major sustenance for people. It wasn't hunter and gathering, because hunting food for a very long time was completely unpredictable. You couldn't depend on survival by hunting and gathering. Okay, so why did that go away? So let me just go ahead and bring this up one more time. Okay, so we're going to get started. We're going to introduce Rhonda in just a moment. So I'm going to set her up so she can join us, and we're going to do an intake and find out how she's doing. Thank you to everybody who's joining us. This is meant to really show you how I work with people, the questions that I ask, how I think about cases, and how I'm putting cases together today. So, it's so important to introduce a proper food as medicine plan. And it's important for me to do the prayer, but it's important to do the affirmations. I want that to be prescriptive. Like, what part of what I give to people as medicine is to help them, with their words, to look at their words, to choose their words, to help their own words and what they're saying to themselves to get well. All right, so let's have some fun, and let's bring up Rhonda. So, oh my goodness, Rhonda is not here. Oh yeah, she is here. Okay, there we go. All right, so Rhonda, you're going to see yourself promoted to a panelist, and then we're going to share your camera, and we're going to share your microphone so that you can explain your journey. And I do have your intake form here where you shared with us some of the things that are going on with you. So we're going to share that with everybody here. I will share that we ask questions. We ask them to complete a form. And with the form that Rhonda has completed, we said, would you be willing? Let's see if I can go back to the beginning here. All right, we're going to ask her in person because I think she's going to be joining us in just a moment. Okay, so we ask a number of questions on the application. And also, we do need a few more applicants. So if you feel motivated, or if you have a client that you want me to work with, please submit that. Just send me a message, Ariel@geniusbiofeedback.com. We can send you the application. Okay, Rhonda, how are you?
Hi there. I'm doing okay. How about you?
Oh, good. Now, you're a little bit low in the camera.
Okay, let me see.
I just want you to know that.
Okay, I can't see myself, so I don't know where I'm at.
Okay, well, you're fine. You're fine where you are. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you would like to work on or transform with our work together?
Well, I just was told I'm in remission from stage 4 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. This is the second round of it.
Okay, and let's just take a moment to let me participate as well, because I know you want to tell your story. But first of all, I just want to say, like, that is amazing. That is absolutely amazing. So congratulations to you. You must have been working very hard on this.
Well, I've been trying. I wanted to do it totally naturally. I wanted to go to the Hoxsey clinic because I'd heard about that, but they wouldn't even take me. The mask was wrapped around the aorta. My calcium level was off the charts. It was wrapped around the pancreas, the kidneys, and I can't even remember all the things that they said it was. But they told me that I would have to do chemo because it was so progressed that I needed to do something very quickly, and natural takes longer, and they didn't have time to get me.
And I do think that that's a reasonable intervention. I think that that's, often we talk about interventions matching the degree of where the person is. And, it sounds like a small amount or reasonable amount of chemotherapy actually could be beneficial in this type of a scenario. Did you feel that way as well?
Well, it wasn't what I wanted to do, and it was very upsetting at the time. But then I realized that I had to do what I had to do, and so I did the chemo, 6 rounds of it, but I took the Hoxsey formula right along with it, and took their whole protocol, and I'm still doing their protocol, even though the doctor has told me that I'm in remission. I'm still doing the Hoxsey tonic, the Hoxsey diet, the Hoxsey supplements. I'm taking it all. They want me to keep on it because this is considered incurable. I don't feel that that is the case. I feel like that if I do the right things, I can clear out the whole cell memory of it. And that's what my hope is, to clear out the cell memory.
Let's go ahead and get your voice so that I can do this as I'm talking with you, because I have some more questions for you, but thank you so much. That's a really helpful introduction. Let's go ahead and record your voice. So I'm going to go ahead and record your voice in 3, 2, 1. I'm recording.
Rhonda Dragon, A-E-I-O-U, A-E-I-O-U. My immune is healthy. All cancer cells are totally eliminated from my body. My heart is healthy. I am well, and I continue to get well.
I like it. So you actually have adopted a lot of affirmations.
Yes.
So that's really been like positive thinking is part of what you are doing for yourself.
Yes.
All right. So now tell us a little bit more just about the origin. Like, when did the lymphoma start? Because you said this is your second time. If you could maybe, well, let me just take your picture first. So I give you a chance to just pause here. Let me just go ahead and do that and smile if you'd like to. And oh, wait, don't give up. Just right there.
Do I need to take my glasses off?
No, you don't at all. I don't know why my computer is just not cooperating, why it's not letting me take that. Just let me see. Let me just try one more time here. I wonder if it's not integrating with the Genius correctly, because it's acting very strange. Oh, it's not doing anything it's supposed to do right now.
Would you like me to send you a picture?
Let me just, oh my goodness, I don't know why it's doing that. It's so weird. Oh, now it took a picture. Let me retake it. Maybe it might just be slow. All right, let me just see if I can do this now. And cooperate, yay, okay, fantastic. All right, we're just gonna go with that one because I don't know what was happening there. I think it was just the iPad was actually just a little bit slow. All right, now that we have that done, tell us a little about the origin. When did this start? When did you get the original diagnosis so that we can understand this a little bit more comprehensively?
Well, so it's kind of, I'm not sure in one sense. In 2017, I was diagnosed medically. And about 10 years before that, or maybe 7 or 8 years before that, I had all of a sudden lost a ton of weight. I went out to Arizona to go to a doctor named Don Mayfield. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but he was really big with holistic medicine and stuff. And he had a place out in Arizona. So I flew out there. He was treating me. I saw lymphoma on because back then the Zyto machines could have all the cancer stuff on there. Now they can't. So I saw lymphoma on there, but I never I just thought it was clearing out cell memory. But then I also went to a doctor back in Florida that also had Zyto and had the same thing on hers, that it because when I look back on those sheets, I see it now, but I didn't think anything of it then. But anyway, so I think I might have, because I lost weight really fast. I was very sick, very weak. And I thought I had parasites. He was clearing out parasites. He never said anything about cancer, but knowing him, he wouldn't have. He would have just treated me as a person and dealt with that. So,
Okay, before you continue, let me just jump in there. Got a couple of questions for you. So 2017 is, I'm going to just go ahead and send this to myself for now. 2017 is going back, it's 2024, so that's 7 years. What kind of work were you doing at that time? What was your profession?
oh, I was dealing with essential oils. I was home, didn't have the best diet, had a lot of stress, raising kids, just, life was stressful. And I think it was just,
When you say you didn't have the best diet, what was it? Was it fast food, or just I didn't have a lot of time for fruits or vegetables? What was sort of your, perception of, oh, I didn't have the healthiest diet?
well, I mean, sugar. I love to bake and cook, and so I made all kinds of treats and desserts, and a lot of fast foods, Taco Bell back then.
Okay,
Now you couldn't
gotcha.
do
I gotcha. And what is, oh, so you've been a healer sort of for, that's been your whole life. You've been mostly working in healing. In other words, did you ever work with any chemicals or work in a factory or cars or
well,
anything like that?
the one thing that we had talked about with my
And oh, just before you continue, is it possible that there's some type of background noise, something in the background going on?
you need to not turn that off. Sorry about that. Um, so yes, my husband and my mom was very much into gardening, and I think that she used a lot of things like Roundup and different things like that, and so did my husband. So we think that that might have had a part of it, was that I was around those chemicals because I would work in the yard too. Um, that's all I
Okay.
really know, because other than that, I didn't. I mean, I did household cleaners, but very early on, I was having all kind of allergic reaction to all cleaners, any
Okay.
perfumes, everything was making me have a reaction. So I had to quit using all those.
Okay, very good. I understand. Now, so 7 years ago, maybe go back about 9 years. What can you tell me about your life about 9 years ago?
It, just what I've already said. I mean, I didn't have any. I wasn't working outside the home, or just, you know,
Was
just
your relationships going well with kids,
it's all.
spouse?
I think it was all very stressful.
And can you tell me a little? We still hear the background noise. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I just would have to grin and bear it if it's
Is
not.
no, I don't have anything on.
Oh, okay. Well, there's something
The
coming
water
through.
was running a while ago with my husband was running water, but he's not running that now.
Okay, that sounds good. So
I
tell
don't know
us just a
where
little bit
he.
when you say it's stressful, tell us a little bit about that.
I really don't know what to say about it. Uh, you know, a lot of maybe um, maybe not the easiest relationship. You know,
Which one?
marriage.
Okay. So that you felt at that time it was pretty stressful.
Yeah.
What's your passion in life? What do you love?
I'm one of Jehovah's Witnesses, and I'm very um, focused on that. So I feel that that has been the best thing to help me to cope and to move forward. And, you know, so that is my very biggest passion.
Okay, totally understand. All right. So had in 2017, went into remission, came out of remission August 2023. So that's really just like about 6 months ago. What happened there? Did you see a doctor and the doctor said you're no longer in remission? What happened?
What happened was I took a vaccine for the COVID, a year earlier. I held off for a while, but then, I felt like maybe, I needed to do that. And with all the COVID going around and everything. So I took one vaccine. It literally put me in bed for 5 weeks, kind of shut down my whole gastrointestinal system. So my holistic doctor in Orlando was working with me on that, helping me to overcome all that. I didn't go back and get the second dose of it, did the Pfizer. So I didn't do any more of that. And an oncology nurse told me when I was going in for this treatment that a lot of people come out of remission after having the vaccines. But
What are your personal thoughts about that?
I feel like that I could feel a difference after I did the vaccine. But then after
It's
that,
interesting that they say you come out of remission instead of that deeply affects the body in a profound way that short circuits the immune system. So that's a weird wording of their interpretation.
yeah. But then once I did the vaccine, then I got COVID a couple months later, and then after that, by the next October, I had a 4-month cold that I went and had my lungs checked. They said, that my lungs were fine. It was in the bronchioles. And so it took me 4 months to work naturally through that. But it was probably one of the worst colds I've ever had, like coughing. I pulled 2 ribs out. I mean, it was months and months of it. So that was
That was sometime in September, October of this year?
October of, oh my goodness, so we're 23, that was October,
We're 24. Yes, that was probably
24.
October 23.
Yes. So I think it was October of 23 or 22 that I got it. By February of 23, I finally got over that, but then I was just not the same. And then August of 23 is when I got diagnosed with the reoccurrence of the lymphoma, but I was having a lot of sciatic, and I still have nerve damage where one of the masses was on the spine, and so I still have a lot of pain in the nerves there in my hip and the front left groin area where it wrapped around. So it affected me in a lot of ways, but I never felt any worse. Like I wouldn't have said, oh, I think I've got cancer again. I felt pain from the sciatic, and that's what made me go in and get it checked, because nothing was working to take that away.
Wow. We just lost the reflector. We're going to bring that back here. Okay, one of the things that was so interesting was you put on here, please share anything else you'd like us to know. Tell us about your upbringing and how it was in your home.
My dad was a Marine drill sergeant.
Was he
And
literally a Marine, or was he
yes,
like a Marine drill sergeant?
my dad was a Marine drill sergeant.
Like that's just not like saying it like as if he literally was that. So tell us a little bit about how he conducted himself at home.
Very military-like and very harsh and scary. So, yeah.
What do you think, what impact, so that was a long time ago. What impact do you feel that it's had on you and that you still sort of have with you? How does that affect you in today's, life and relating to other people?
I think that the hardest thing was you couldn't relax in your home. And so I didn't know how to relax. I didn't know how to calm down. I was always like on high alert. And I had a lot of anxiety attacks from the time I was in my early 20s to where even now I don't drive, because when I was in my early 20s, I blacked out. I say I blacked out. Everything went into a tunnel when I was driving on interstate one time. So I've never driven on the interstate again, and I'm 63 now, and that was when I was in my 20s.
Were you evaluated for any type of a seizure or neurological issue?
No, but it's interesting because back in the early, maybe 2016, 2015 or 16, I did a brain mapping with I forget what the guy is called. And he talked to me about that I was having little mini seizures in the brain. And he actually stopped the brain mapping because he was trying to do the retraining the brain. And he said, your brain goes so fast. He says, I don't even know how you read or comprehend. So anyway, I was talking to my parents about it. My dad said that one time that when I was a baby, like a few months old, he was leaning back in a chair holding me, and the chair went out from under him. And he says, I did a somersault and came down on my head. So I asked him, did you take me to the hospital? He said, no, you weren't crying. Well, I was telling this to the guy that does the brain mapping. He goes, that's when he really should have taken you.
Of course. I mean, you could have easily had a concussion.
And so as I've done my scans over there, I've seen a lot of that. I don't know if I worked on it enough to clear it out, but it has shown me that I had head injuries in this scan, in the Genius scan. So,
You know, you're handling everything so well. Um, well, before I ask you, I have a question for you, but I think just maybe a little bit more about your, was your father physically abusive or just he just yelled a lot?
oh no, he could be physically abusive, not all the time. It was weird because he could be super loving and he could be super mean. Or scary. If your elbows were on the table when you were eating, you didn't even know it was coming. All of a sudden, you go flying because he would knock you silly while you're eating. So I think there was
Why
a lot.
why do you think he was like that? Did he have his own personal fears in life?
I think he was very damaged, and I think he had a lot of psychological abuse as a child growing up. And that's part makes me feel sorry for him because I know a lot of things from his parents. His dad was not, could cared less about him, and his mom was a little crazy. Um, so he went into the Marines, and then it just exacerbated his temper.
Hmm. What do you think he was the most afraid of?
I really don't know.
Is he still alive?
He passed away of heart. Oh, what's that called? Where the heart. Oh my goodness, I know it.
Congestive heart failure?
Yes, that's what he had. So
Okay. Now you have taken your health really so far. So what can we do for you here?
well, I'm learning the Genius scan. Done. I get on and do the trainings as I can, and I'm I want to try to clear out whatever I need to clear out so this doesn't keep coming back.
Hmm. Hmm. I mean, as a naturopath, I think a lot about detoxification being one of the most profound, and then of course any, emotional healing.
Right.
Going back to really forgive and look at the situation. You've done a lot of that. It doesn't sound like, I mean, how would you describe how you think about your father today?
I feel sorry for him. I don't think I don't doubt that he loved us. I knew he did. I think he just had different personalities. But I feel like I've forgiven him. I don't feel like that he wanted to be a bad. I think he loved us deeply. But he was just he had his own illness, and
Okay.
I think he worked on it, but then he had problem.
Okay, totally understand. Okay. Now, tell us a little bit about your energy levels. How much energy do you feel that you have throughout the day?
It's getting better. It's been, I think, about 6 weeks since I've had the last chemo. So it's getting better. I took a lot of supplements through the whole time I was doing the chemo, so I probably didn't get as bad as the average person dealing with it. And I did make them give me a 30% less dose because the ones I was on was very, very harsh. And the Hoxsey doctors were talking to me because I was telling them symptoms I would have, and they said, well, you need to talk with your oncologist about maybe taking the dosage down 30%. So I did that. He didn't like it, but he did it. So, and then I just kept boosting myself with things like a SIA. I take a SIA every day, which is the redox molecules, and I do essential oils. I do.
Okay, no, that's fantastic. How would you describe your sleep?
I wake up a lot. My bladder has definitely been affected by as soon as I started chemo, I got bladder infections, and they gave me the antibiotics the first time. But then as soon as I'd get chemo, it would come back, and I did not want to continue to take antibiotics. So I started doing other things. I take methylene blue with the Solex company. I take their methylene blue. So I have not gotten rid of it 100%, but it's not terrible.
I understand. But we kind of got a little bit convoluted there. So you fall asleep easily at night?
I fall asleep easily, but I keep having to wake up to go to the restroom. But I go
I
back to
understand.
sleep, but it interrupts me like 3 or 4 times a night.
Okay, all right. So is that because the chemotherapy affected the bladder, or was it where the tumor was located? What was causing that?
I really don't know. I didn't get the bladder infection until after the chemo, but I have been susceptible to them in the past. Actually, the last time I had chemo, I had a lot of them, and then I had one in between those, but then I worked on it for like 9 or 10 months, and I couldn't get it to go away, so I finally took antibiotics for that, and it went away, and I didn't have it again until I had chemo this time. So it was a few years.
Okay. So, and so you don't sleep through the night because of the bladder issue. So when you wake up in the morning, do you feel rested at all?
Sometimes I do. Like yesterday morning, I woke up and I was ready to get up at 6 o'clock, whereas today I was a little bit more tired, and I laid there awake. I was awake, but I was slower moving this morning. So it's just, different days, different things. But overall, normally I feel like my energy level is decent for what I've just been through.
I understand. Okay. And then how would you describe your mood? Happy, sad, depressed, angry? How would you describe your mood?
I feel like I'm depressed. I feel like I get frustrated with my situation. I want to be able to be doing a lot more than I'm doing. Um, I need energy. We just moved and trying to get things set up, and I don't have the energy to do everything I want to do. But so I get frustrated with my situation, but I'm not unhappy at all.
Oh, good. And so working with the essential oils, things like that makes you very happy. Those
I
are things that you
enjoy
enjoy?
I enjoy natural stuff, and I enjoy the essential oils.
Okay, totally understand. So you did say on this form here that you are on a strict diet from Hoxsey. Tell us a little bit about that food plan.
So their basic thing is nothing fermented, no vinegar, no ketchup, no tomatoes, um, no pork, um, grass-fed meats, vegetables, are fine, red potatoes or um, what do you call it? Like, but I'm pretty much everything organic, and I don't do a lot of carbs because the
Okay.
minute I do carbs, I start gaining weight.
Okay. That dietarily, that doesn't make a lot of sense, but sometimes when we have the carbs, we don't realize we're combining them with actual fat or adding something to the carbs. But I mean, if your diet is working for you and it's led to remission, I think you had sort of implied from us talking, you don't want to deviate from that.
Well, they told me on the Hoxsey that the tonic will not work if you have certain things. And so I've been staying pretty much with what they said.
Okay. Um, I think one of the things that's going to serve you the most is, well, let's talk a little bit about Hoxsey. You know, Dr. Hoxsey was active, the man himself was active in the 40s and 50s. He was given a special formula from, I believe it was his grandfather, and you can correct me because you're probably very well versed in this, and where whoever he got the formula from said, but you need to give it to anyone who is in need of it, even if they don't have the money to pay for it. And he cured cancer, skin cancer, all types of amazing cancers. He was, it was based in Texas. And once people started to get wind of the fact that he was curing cancers left and right, I believe he was active in the 30s and 40s, the authorities came after him like crazy. And he spent a lot of time in jail, out of jail, in jail, out of jail. And the only thing that he was really guilty of was curing people of cancer. And they would try to say he was practicing medicine without a license. But you can look up Hoxsey's formula, just Google Hoxsey's formula. You can see all of the amazing herbs that he used. Anybody can get them. Will they only work with you if you go down to Mexico, or do they work with you long distance?
I never was able to make it down to Mexico, and they send me their stuff.
Okay, and so they work with you by like phone consultation or Zoom meeting or something like that?
Yep, I Zoom with them. And I send them all my reports and they look it over, and so.
So, you know, from my perspective as a naturopathic doctor, it's really about detoxifying the body is going to be one of the most profound things. When I think about a lymphoma, I think about some type of toxic, chronic toxic exposure, maybe that we don't know about or understand, that has affected the body on a deep level. And toxins, when they affect the body, they first affect the immune system. For example, like with people getting allergies, and then after you cannot, you know, fight off the exposure to toxins anymore, it moves into the endocrine system. So it affects hormones and thyroid and adrenals. And when it goes to a depth deeper than that, then it actually affects our neurological system. So I realize it's not a neurological, but I just wanted to just point out, like, all these toxins are affecting us on a deep level. And of course, yours is on the lymphatic level, but I also perceive that it is, I've always seen these lymphatic illnesses be related to some type of intense or persistent toxic exposure. And also you maybe just have the genetics where you're not a great, you know, detoxifier, or not able to push out. Maybe it's a pesticide, maybe it's a solvent, whatever it is. I do think you were very smart to recognize that the jab that you got didn't work for you, and you decided not to proceed further. It sounds like there may have been a lot of wisdom in that. I think moving forward, your best bet is to really do a lot of things that can really help to detox the body. Do you currently do any saunas?
I do have a infrared sauna. So I'm a little bit confused on it. Matter of fact, I was actually going to reach out to the Dr. Hoxsey, because when I first was diagnosed and they were dealing with me, they told me nothing that heats the body. With this type of cancer, you could not heat the body. And so all of my infrared lights, my infrared sauna, I was like, okay, now what? I have all this, and I don't know if I can use it or if I can't.
I guess that for you, if that was their recommendation, I would stick to that. They seem to be very, you know, up on that. I mean, hyperthermia has been, for so many things, incredibly, you know, helpful. I guess they're thinking about metastasis and moving, sort of mobilizing things more throughout the body.
Yeah, I think so.
You're kind, you know, if you're in remission, then you're in a better place, because you're kind of in a catch-22. Because I would really urge you to do things like castor oil packs, and, you know, the saunas, and continue to bring detox into your life. I mean, you may want to deviate from their recommendations to some degree, where you can start to get, I mean, you're probably on detox herbs now, because that's what part of the Hoxsey formula is. So, you know, maybe you don't really need to do that. I mean, I don't know if I will have anything to add to this equation, because they're really managing your care in a very tight way. with regard to the expertise they're offering for the, for the lymphoma. But I do have a list of, recommendations for libraries that I'll give to you. So far, we've used, and we'll just go back and look at it. I just want to pause here. And I did want to ask, do you have any root canals or any extensive dental work?
So I have not done any dental work, like root canals or anything like that. I had my wisdom teeth pulled out, but I have never agreed to have any root canal, but I have seen it on this several times. And I have run the dental programs, but I was going to right before I was diagnosed, I had to quit going, but I was going to one of the dentists that they do the uh, what's the type of dentist that's really good?
Biological dentist?
Yes, that's what I was going over in Vieira, Florida. There's a clinic and they do biological dentistry, and I was going to them. They do a lot of natural there, and so they were working on clearing out everything. Well, as I'm doing the chemo, my gums swelled up. I mean, I've been really working, and I swish the AC around in my mouth and do a lot, but it's my gums swelled up so bad, and they're just calming down now. But I've definitely seen a lot of dental stuff showing up.
Okay, well, that makes sense. And do you have any mercury fillings?
No, no.
Okay, well, that's good. So just looking here, it's really interesting that within the Hoxie's formula is particularly burdock root is being highlighted from one of the libraries that we have here. And it says that it's particularly working on blood purification and clearing toxins. So, I mean, I think that's that's your jam, is when you can get permission or you're able to do it, saunas, castor oil, even hot and cold, hot, cold contrast.
Right.
Do you ever get to hot springs or somewhere where you can do a soak and do hot and cold, maybe a cold plunge or something like that?
I have not done that.
So that could be good too, because that helps to move the blood, helps to anything you can do to help to detox your body is going to be, just really, really key for you. This is a Grabovy number for the immune system, but I wanted to really look at this. Which was there's two flower essences on meridian point. I have the second one, caught my attention first, but let's look at the first one. Star of Bethlehem on conception vessel 14. So Star of Bethlehem is a core remedy for rebirthing out of long or short-term shock. What do you think about that?
I don't think I understand.
Okay, so nothing comes to mind. It's from past trauma, really, is what it relates to on a greater level. This state has direct impact on your heart, keeping you from feeling properly nourished. Star of Bethlehem imparts spiritual milk to your soul, feeding it heavenly food for which it has been starving. When your connection to spirit has been reestablished, your heart is again able to open and experience new life as it is born through you. And then they connect it to conception vessel 14, which is called great deficiency. And also, it doesn't say that here, but they want to describe it along with conception vessel 15. These two conception vessel meridian points link to the heart and the pericardium meridians. Shock freezes the heart, disconnecting you from your spirit and disabling it from conducting life force to your body. Great deficiency, which is conception vessel 14, reestablishes communication with the organ of the heart and also reboots the pathway to your pericardium or heart protector.
So you use Star Bethlehem, it's a Bach flower, right? And you would use that on the conception vessel 14? Is that how you get rid of that issue?
Right. Well, you just run the frequency on the genius, but we can look up where conception vessel 14 is, but it is precisely naming like a particular point, which is the combination of two energies, the Star of Bethlehem and the energy of the conception vessel. So when they're combined, they have a rather unique, ability to make a shift or make a change. Okay. So this is the flower essence on Meridian Point library that we're working with. Well, I wanted to go ahead and do a rescan, and let's see now if we rescan, because we got a 65% rectification, now what comes up. And I want to make sure that everybody knows that, wow, it says crystal bed therapies. Have you ever tried one of those crystal beds?
I don't even know what those are. It's come up several times when I'm scanning.
Yeah, you lie on the bed and I believe they have different lights and they have different frequencies. It must be something that your body is sort of drawn to. I would just look it up online, and I wouldn't be surprised if maybe there's a crystal bed practitioner in your area that you don't even know about. Let's just look at
Can
some of
you get
these.
the same benefit by just running the scan here, the frequencies here?
Well, you will get a benefit, but sometimes your body wants to experience things in person, but you don't have to run out and do it tomorrow. It's just fascinating that it came up. It also could mean that you resonate with crystals, which have tremendous healing capability. Um, I allow myself to ask for support, knowing that it doesn't take away from my own power. I release this trauma whose origin is the birth process. I release any imbalances in my heart and circulatory system that is related to chronic tension in my life. I am
So
willing to.
one, when I was born, I was what they called a blue baby that wasn't breathing. And I was born a month early, and the cord was wrapped around my neck, and they said I was black as black could be, like no oxygen. And so I wonder if that's what this is.
Oh, it came up because we're going to go to the results. Let me just see if there's anything else, and we'll come back to this. Um, okay, let's go ahead and move back to here. I wanted to show the original outcome from the custom libraries to show you something so interesting. So here, now the first one that came up, it's a little bit covered up here, but it's detoxification, total body detox, including from the spike protein, which continues to proliferate from the, and so that's interesting that it came up. So just cleansing and detoxification is going to be your number one, jam. And maybe it's enough what you're doing now from Hoxie, but I would just look into and think about, be guided and led to all things detox that will be helpful for you. I think that's going to be the number one thing that helps you from getting any type of recurrence. It does sound like you are on your way, and it does sound like this, like I just call it the may have disrupted that, and I'm sure you're never going to let that happen again. My supposition is like you're going to be on the mend, and you're going to be okay.
That's my plan. I'm doing everything in my power to do it.
You are a miraculous person to come back from some stage 4. I mean, that's really something.
Stage 4 the first time that they diagnosed me in 2017, and then I stage 4 again by the time I found it this time. But they said that's common with lymphoma because you don't really feel the symptoms until it's very progressed.
Well, it's just amazing what you've accomplished. Like you should, kudos to you. Very impressed that, you have so much courage.
Well, thank you. I'm got a lot of support with this.
That's really good. That's really good to hear. So yeah, so it's interesting that came up at the top, for detoxification, for a total body detox, even though it's focused on the it's a lot of things that can bring, even lavender oil. I mean, all about essential oils, but you can kind of see the sulfation process of detoxification. That's one of the liver enzymes do detox. And it's interesting that it says my liver enzymes are functioning optimally now to well be able to break down chemicals as needed. So that's really interesting. I still think that the origin of this may be some type of toxic exposure that you're not, quite aware of, or that we don't know. But still, the point is to get that liver cleansing and moving and healing things out of the body will be so good for you.
Since the chemo, I've had a lot of ocular migraines, which I have always been told that the liver has to do with migraines. So I assume that that's what I'm getting the ocular migraines from, because I just get all the lights flashing in my eyes, and I've just had a lot of them since I had this last bit of chemo.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, you have all of the frequencies because you have the full array of frequencies. I would keep using, because there's migraine frequencies too, I would use that. But even with migraines, if somebody just comes in off the street and says, hey, I have migraines, it's liver. A lot of it is liver related. And I know in this way it could be attributed specifically to the chemo, but just general migraines, liver detoxification is what we really look at. But I look through all of the things that come up high for people when I'm looking, at a custom, there's lots of custom libraries here. But I usually let the thing, what catches my eye. And what caught my eye here was clearing early trauma from conception to the birthing process. This one is the conception to birth, and this one is focused on the birthing process because there are two other ones. So if we go to it, I think this is probably related to what you just mentioned. I'm just saying, just in general, the library coming up itself. I'm no longer helpless and I now own my power. I release the trauma from the birth process. So isn't that interesting that it comes up so high for you? If forceps were used during the birth process, any trauma resulting from this is now released. Doesn't sound like that was the case, but it's coming up twice actually. I am now more easily to share my personal space. I release the trauma from the use of birth forceps in the birth, but any type of birth process, what's happening is we're going from a place of being very safe and having all that personal space to ourselves, and it's totally shifting at the birth process. The birth process in and of itself is very traumatic, just even in the best of circumstances. But for what you experienced, I mean, you couldn't breathe. They didn't know if you were going to survive. There's all of those energetics. How do you perceive what your sort of your takeaway or lasting, energetics from that experience?
I've often wondered if that's created a lot of the effects that I have. Even my lungs, they'll show up, and I'm wondering if that's from that not breathing situation. But it also just popped in my head because when you asked if there about something being a shock to my system, I'm wondering at 3 years of age, trying to keep my dad happy, I climbed up on a dresser to find something that he was mad that he couldn't find. And the dresser fell over on me and I broke my leg so bad that they had to put me in a body cast, and I was in the hospital for quite a while. And I would have nightmares about that. I don't remember a lot of it, but I was told enough that I don't know what is that I've been told and what I have memory of, but I have memories of being pushed down a hospital hallway by someone in a white uniform, and then it goes blank. I don't know what the situation, or if I was terrified, or that's why it goes blank, but I've had those for many, many years, but I never knew what it was all from. So I'm just wondering if that's the shock or the trauma that is also showing up for me when you say shock.
I think that's very reasonable. I think, the point here is that there's still some residual energy there that's coming through. And so I think this would be a good library for you to continue to work on for yourself.
Which library is that? Do I have that one? I have a lot.
Well, I thought you had all of them, but you can email me and we could talk about that. I thought you had I
have the Elite.
Oh, okay. That doesn't contain all of them, but we can talk and figure out if you have it, you don't have it. But it's called Clearing Early Trauma from Conception to Birth.
Okay.
And let's just go ahead and rescan because we've got some new energies in there. Now, somebody did ask about the Hoxsey formula. It's very easy to just look up online and see what's in the Hoxsey formula. I did just do a little bit of it's fun. It's really great to just read about Dr. Hoxsey. Actually, he wasn't a doctor, but just, I'm trying to remember his first name. Do you remember his first name? Harry Hoxsey. So yeah, it's fun to read about him. He's such a character, and they just wanted to run him out of town on a rail because he had the answers, and they didn't want people to have the answers. So they said all kinds of bogus things, that these were harmful. And
I think there's a video or something.
Yeah,
on.
there's several videos on YouTube and Rumble that you can watch it because it's very interesting. But I just brought up an article, and it's things like red clover, which are, blood purifier, burdock root, which is a detoxifier, poke root, or phytolacca. All of these are really traditional naturopathic Western herbs that were used very much at the beginning of the 20th century, because naturopaths were in full swing at that time, the schools and everything, and they used these Western herbs to great effect.
They have a homeopathic called Hoxie Formula now. Professional Formulas has it. And my question, I just found out about it. My question is, would that be as effective as the Hoxie Formula herb?
I would take the herb, because, and I think it's something, there's always the divine inspiration, whoever gave him the formulation, grandfather, whatever. I think it's the combination, it's how it's used together. This is a great article. Let me see if I can just send the link to everybody, because it tells a little bit of the story. And he also used iodine, which potassium iodide is an incredibly important part of the iodine. Gives a lot of energy to the immune system, really helps to uplift the immune system. And we have some, go ahead.
They can't give me iodine because I reacted to it when I drank the formula for the CT scan. It shot my blood pressure sky high, and they told me I couldn't do that anymore and said I had a iodine allergy. So I'm not
You
sure.
don't, you should follow that, but just in general, for people who can benefit from it, we do have a natural form of iodine. I'm not suggesting that you do it. I just want people here who are watching to know we have a great natural form of iodine in the form of sea vegetables, which is the Dr. C7. And this is something that I'm so glad that we're able to carry. It's 7 different types of sea vegetables that are combined, and it has all of the nutrition that you need, all amino acids, the iodine, minerals, and it's easy to take, and it's just really better than, I think, using the straight potassium iodide and things like even nascent iodine. I just think that the food itself is more gentle. In fact, if you're able to just get sea vegetables and start putting them into your broths and things like that. I'm not saying that for you, Rhonda, because I don't know to what extent you'd be able to tolerate it. So, okay, I now release any imbalances in my digestive system that may be related to feeling bitter. I'm now able to release events of the past. And again, Hoxie's formula, the whole formula comes up very high for you. That's kind of amazing, given that we're running now 361 items, and it really comes up on its own as being a very important part of your healing. So I think that you're really onto something. Now, do you have your own Quanta capsule?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have the email address for that you could put into the chat?
Yes, I do.
So go ahead and do that. We're going to send you, I'm going to have to add you in here to my queue. I'm going to do that first. So let's see, my liver is successfully synthesizing and secreting bile. And then it says kidney 27. So the kidney meridian, I think, is important if you want to put that down to work on. And of course, I will be sending you my recommendations. I take conscious and unconscious action to good health. That's a good affirmation, because sometimes we set out to do good things and our other part of us is not participating. And we have, subconscious or unconscious sabotage sometimes. I release imbalances in my liver where I may be holding anger. I now choose to release this anger. I am now ready to release any imbalances in my lungs and respiratory system. Well, that goes back to the birth trauma. And related to difficulties in relationships. I now embrace and welcome into my life healthy relationships. I'm no longer helpless, and I now own my own power. Yeah, I mean, that has to be somewhat related to, not being able to breathe during that time, I would think.
Yeah, it was a lot on the birth process.
What's that?
I said there was a lot on the birth process on those.
Yeah, isn't that fascinating that the genius kind of picked up on that?
Very much.
So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put Rhonda's email in here into the database, and it's going to hopefully bring up her capsule, and then I'm going to add her. She's going to get a notification that I've added her, but the cool thing is this is going to allow me to go back and name the playlist that I send. So we're going to send you the recommendations. You'll still get the food recommendation, but you can continue to do the Hoxie because that's really what's resonating or feels important to you, but I'll send the other recommendations like the affirmations. And mostly really what you want me to focus on is the libraries that you should be focusing on. So we can do that. Right now I'm going to export the high items. So I'm going to go ahead and export it to the capsule. See, I think this iPad is a little bit slow in its processing. That's what's happening. So now all I have to do is go to add my members. I can pull up hers and then I export it. And okay, so do you have any questions, Rhonda?
No, I don't. Not at the moment.
Okay, well, I'm so grateful that you were able to join us and, be part of this.
I really appreciate it. It's been very, very nice and enlightening, and I love working with the Genius Scan.
That's so great. All right, so let's do Rhonda. This is going to be high items, and we'll just say it's March 5th, just so we have a memory here. So what we would have you do is maybe come back in about 3 weeks and just do a follow-up and find out how you're doing. Would that be okay?
That would be wonderful.
And we're going to do a full export of all the items, which is quite a lot. There's 361 items. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So then we export to the capsule. Now, see, once again, it's being a little bit, maybe because there's so many items in the capsule, maybe that's why. I'm actually just pressing on it, just not responsive. So then we bring her up there, and then I can just export. And so we've got another one. And I think the Hoxsey library, Joanne, is in Cancer Solutions. And I'm going to link that in just a moment. So once again, I go back to the navigation bar and I go to Quantum Membership. And then I'm going to go ahead and my members, bring her up here, look at that playlist. So now the second playlist has come up. And I can go ahead and just type this in and just let her know that this is all the items so she knows which playlist that she wants to do. So we've got all of those. And then we'll just say March 5th.
So did any of the cancer, you did the cancer libraries too with this scan?
Yes, I did. I'll show you the ones once again that I did. There's another technique here that you can do. I put a lot of the affirmations that were really powerful that came up. So I've talked about this in class, so you can do this as another playlist, like a third little mini playlist. And if you do that, then what's really helpful is put things like the solfeggios in here to kind of give it another, like a really powerful boost. And like 417 is past trauma. And of course, you always want to include 528. And 285 is always good for the organs and the glands. It helps them to go back to their home frequency. So then we could export this one as well. Okay, and so this is like a little mini one that has some powerful affirmations and some solfeggio tones. So if you wanted to run this or the other two, you could run some in the morning, some in the evening. You could switch off the different playlists. So now we're going to bring that one up and we can send that one in as well. So that just shows to our observers, different ways that you can make the session even more powerful for the person by including a variety of different playlists, some shorter, some longer. No, this isn't correct. And let's go ahead and we'll go back to the Quantum Membership. And once again, playlist. And now you can see the third one has been sent to her. And what you cut out when you said where the Hoxsey formula is? Oh, it's in, we're going to look at that library in just a moment. It should be the new Cancer Solutions library. And so this is just going to say Rhonda affirmations.
So
okay, so now she knows what all of those are. Go ahead.
These playlists through the day.
Well, I usually recommend 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes at night. So you could take the playlists and rotate through them, or you could do that small one you could do for like a minute and then, or 2 minutes or 3 minutes, and then bring in the longer ones. But all together, 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes at night. There's nothing wrong with doing, more than that if you want to.
I've been doing a lot more than that.
Oh yeah, and that's totally fine. That's, if you feel motivated, you feel moved, like I just want to keep running it, I want to keep running it, then by all means go ahead. I've gone through that myself. I totally know what that's like, and it's probably for a reason. It also keeps your mind really focused on your healing. So the one is called Cancer Solutions, Miraculous Remedies and Frequencies and Codes. So this is that library that where all the Hoxie formulas were coming up, and we also have the ESSIAC formula, which I know Lynn mentioned, and they are kind of similar, that they have herbs in there that are, kind of formulated by divine intervention in some ways. They're typical, what we call alternative herbs in the Western naturopathic tradition. They're detoxifiers, they're blood purifiers, they're liver cleansers. And it's amazing that these simple herbs, how they could be covered up, and how not the right truth to be told about them, about how profoundly healing they are of cancer and other chronic ailments. But they're really, so powerful. And when they're formulated together by a good formulator, they're miraculous, just like the ESSIAC or the Hoxie. And I don't think it's a bad idea if anybody wants to obtain those formulas and take them on a protective basis. So you want to sort of have a tune-up, cleanse your body, heal, clear a lot of the toxins out of your blood, your kidneys, your lungs, your lymphatics, your liver. So take them on a regular basis as a preventative measure. Well, I just wanted to show you that particular library here. So we just go back to the custom libraries. And so what we did is I used my search button here to look at all the cancer libraries. And what we had run through was all of these, the cancer harmonizing frequencies. So all the way down to, I did all 7 of these. And then I worked on cancer solutions. And I wrote down the other ones that I had worked on. I did root cause. So I always like to use the root cause library. It comes in the elite package and up. So a lot of people have this one. And so I like to always just see what's coming up. It might not be a case changer, but it's interesting. The gallbladder comes up a lot for you. And so again, you may want to look into and see if it's permitted. Castor oil packs around that liver area, abdominal area on the right side of the body. And, sometimes just interesting what comes up. You don't have to know about everything or analyze everything, but you may just want to take it in and just look at it, and also just use the frequencies in the tray and let the, genius decide which ones are the most important. And then we also did emotional anatomy. So that's another good one that I like to run in chronic cases, because I like to get, as much information as I can. It's wonderful to get it from the patient or client themselves, and then you have this ability to go further to reveal some things. And then you always ask the person, is this something that's resonating for you? Does this really connect for you? This one is about, cellulite, which are a little bit weird, but I'm now able to forgive on every level. And then we had some other ones that came up. So those are the ones that I've utilized for you. And we're going to do a final thing here in following up. So I'm going to give you a list when I do your wellness plan of affirmations, all the libraries that we utilized, and any other remedies or things that come to mind that I would think of for you. And of course, you can process that and see if that works for you. These are just ideas. So let's see what the ending aura looks like. It's interesting. We had that little brown ring on the outside. So that's kind of fascinating. And I can take the avatar away. It looks like there's brown on the inside as well. I correlate that with digestive, congestion, and just liver gallbladder congestion is what I usually connect that with. And then you have a lot of healing energy, those blues and those greens being in your aura. So there's a lot of healing energy coming through. Let's go ahead and see what we've got here. And so that's really interesting. This is just a lot of just telling us you got a ways to go with clearing and cleansing your body. So maybe just see if you can get the green light for I would like to see you maybe sweating, because so many toxins can come out. So they'll have to tell you if they know better than me, because that's what they specialize in. But yeah, and castor oil, hot and cold plunges, because we still have a ways to go with getting this, I think, and of course, this is just the aura. So, grain of salt, right? That I think that gallbladder, liver is still, we got work to do here. And then just hide the avatar. So it's interesting, sort of a calm green inside. And that may be you sort of have a very calm, you're able to kind of keep a calm demeanor. You seem very grounded. And so a lot of that energy is probably very, very helpful for you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to email this to myself, and then I'm going to be sending her So this is something you can do in your cases as well, is I'm going to send her and notify her, hey, this was your before aura, this is your after aura. And that's sort of a nice thing to do for your client. They get a little extra there and they get the visual as well.
Now, what do you think is the best infrared to use? Sauna.
I mean, I've utilized one called a clear light, but any of the, actually, this would probably make a good Substack or article. There are some nuances with saunas. First of all, you don't need an infrared. You could even just use a conventional heat sauna. And there are some that are actually conventional and infrared. And there's been a huge controversy about whether conventional or infrared are better. And some even combine both of them for that reason. What you do want to be careful of is just to make sure that there's no unhealthy sealants. Like, you get, probably Clear Light is pretty reputable. You could talk to them about the wood that they're using, about the glues that they're using. So you don't want to heat yourself up in a place where glues are off-gassing, or where the wood is not something like cedar is so compatible with saunas. You can heat it, it's going to last forever. So there are a few nuances, but the infrared itself is just going to be the same. It kind of heats you from the inside, and so you don't have as hot a surface temperature, like it's not as hot in the sauna. Whereas with a conventional sauna, it has to get really, really hot because it's all radiant heat that's affecting you and causing you to sweat.
What about the one where your head is out of it and it's more like a cloth around you?
I mean, I don't think it's necessarily bad to be in the sauna, but those are convenient because they're inexpensive and they're just sort of portable, and that would be perfectly fine. You just want to get yourself sweating. Again, when you have the okay or the green light to do it, I just think it would be really, really helpful.
Okay, sounds good.
Well, Rhonda, it's been such a pleasure. Thank you for giving us your time and allowing me to work with you.
I appreciate it very much.
All right. Well, you have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll check back with you. I'll be in touch with you. I'll send you the wellness plan by the end of the day tomorrow, and then I'll be in touch with you, and we're going to ask you to come back in about 3 weeks just to find out how you're doing, if that's okay with you.
Thank you very much. Yes.
All right. Thank you, Rhonda. I'm going to stop the video here. And so everybody, I hope that this was helpful, and we're going to do Rhonda's plan, and then we'll discuss Rhonda's plan next week. I don't think we have an applicant for next week, so make sure that you volunteer or get somebody to volunteer so that we have a class next week. You can submit yourself, even if you just want a wellness boost. We'd love to go through cases. And so with that, we will wish you a wonderful rest of your day and see you soon. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye for now.